Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Canadian Bowler. I'm your host, Daryl Fitzgerald. I'm here with Michael Patulli and Luke Caldwell. It's a beautiful Sunday. You can kind of see the sun shining through my drapes here. Super cold still here in Canada. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Daryl, I'm doing all right. Other than that, you decided to kick me off the starting blocks here today. But I mean, hey, it is what it is.
Running a little late, but we're here. That's all that matters, right?
We're here.
The attendance is the main part. We got here. It doesn't matter when we got here.
Well, I will have to mention a few things that my arguably okay co-host forgot to mention. We are the number one Bull-on Bowling podcast in the world. It's a scientific stat. It's proven, math and stuff. Also, if you haven't already, we are at 1.5 thousand subscribers according to the thing I look at over there. Well on our way to a billion. We'll probably be there by like next week, I think. So just remember to hit that little red subscribe button if you haven't already. And right beside that, there's a notification bell. Make sure you hit that so you get notified anytime we go live or a new video gets posted on the channel. We're available on all major podcast platforms. If you're not available, stick around for the rest of the show today. Or if you missed any of our great interviews in the past, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and a whole bunch of other ones. Share us around. We're out there. We're here. What's up, boys? How's it going? What are we doing?
Well, I think the main topic of conversation would be the World Bowls Tour.
Absolutely.
Quite a fantastic event wrapped up last weekend there. So we sort of covered it because it was about halfway done last podcast we did. So somewhere around there, but we got to see the rest of the games and it was quite a thrilling conclusion, honestly, in the end there. Did you guys get any time to watch it?
Personally, I got to watch a little bit, but not as much as you guys probably did.
Yeah, I got to watch it. I mean, it was in between working and taking a couple breaks and lunch and all that kind of stuff, but got to watch it. Definitely tried to watch the finals, which were awesome, I must say, to watch. And yeah, I was intrigued this time because there was crowds back. They had changed the dress code, and just to see how people rebounded after being off for so long.
Yeah.
Like I quite enjoyed watching it all across the board. Like the shot clock was a really cool addition this year, I found, to see the timeouts that would be taken and sort of hustling back and forth. I think I saw 2 people lose a bowl because of the shot clock. So it was pretty
the shot clock different?
So it was a 30-second shot clock that they had, and then essentially they had to get down there and shoot the bowl or shoot their shot. And if they didn't, they lost the bowl.
I thought they always had a shot clock.
Oh, I thought it was new this year, wasn't it?
No.
Oh,
sorry, Mike. I hate to stop.
Okay, maybe I'm just not very observant, apparently. Okay.
Usually, you don't tell. You don't realize it because they are so good at managing it. They get up and down. They're never wandering. But this time, it was actually apparent. So yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Mike. I only knew from when friend of the podcast, Mike McNorton, played over in one of the events on the WBT, and I remember he needing to take timeouts. That's the only reason why I know anything about it.
I literally did not notice it until this year because I guess I saw 2 people lose their bowls because of the shot clock. So I guess maybe that was why I noticed it this year.
Yeah, it was definitely more apparent this year than any other year. Usually, they're really good at managing it. You wouldn't even know.
Speaking about shot clock, and we always talk about changing things in the sport of bowls. Do you think shot clock implied in regular play, or maybe not regular play, but like competitive play here in Canada or worldwide, do you think that'd be like effective?
Yeah, like I think the shot clock would be an effective way to manage things. It'd be harder to probably implement it in team games, I'm thinking, like to be able to like the switching of the greens, and if you are sort of doing any strategy between you and your teammates, like I guess a lot of it would be taking timeouts, but it could definitely be implemented and it could be brought into a lot of different styles of bowls, similar to World Bowls Tour, more competitive stuff like in Canada or anywhere in the world, really.
I just think because like we always talk about switching formats and whatever else. I just think the shot clock idea kind of gears more towards like the old head, somebody who likes the traditional style of the game. So we don't have to completely like murk that style of the game to make it more television friendly, I suppose is the correct word.
Yeah, the shot clock idea, I like it for the WBT, and it's a lot easier there because there's so many people there. They have one game going on the blue carpet. They can manage that. For a large international competition, you'd need timers for every single green or every single rink, I would say. It's a lot harder to implement. It's a great idea. We've tried in Canada, and I'm not sure internationally how this applies, but putting that, is it a minute or 2 minutes that you can't go over, and if people are really sandbagging and abusing their time on the mat and going up and back and all that kind of stuff, you can actually call an umpire over to time the person and lose a bowl. But it's hard to implement. People abuse it all the time. Unless you get an umpire over there with the stopwatch doing it. I mean, what are you gonna do? It's so tough.
Yeah, fair enough. Just a thought.
It's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. It's something that I think we need to speed up the game. People need to pick up their game, understand it better, be able to make those decisions, and just keep the game rolling. Because yeah, when you get like a minute, 2 minutes between shots, that is, even for someone like me, it's just agonizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's pretty excessive when you're taking those long long breaks or 40 50 seconds just to pick what hand you're going to play on or something like that. It's just,
well, especially when you like compound that on somebody who just generally has like a slow routine going up to the mat to begin with, like on the mat for X amount of seconds, and then if they're contemplating or if they're sandbagging you, like the one that always drove me nuts was when the skip would leave the head, come down, talk to his team from the mat, and then go back down to the head without a bowl being played. And that one always drove me crazy.
Yeah, I love the leisurely saunt up, and then they saunter back to the mat, and then it's like, oh, I forgot what I was going to do, so they saunter back up, and then they
start, and then they still talk when they get back to the mat to just like triple check what they're going to do.
Exactly. It's just like, okay, we need to get on with this. Like, let's keep the game moving, rolling. There should be no super impediment to the game. Like, use the time if it's a really tense situation and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on and you need to make your shot, but otherwise, just let's go.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at the chat there, John Siteman let me know that apparently the shot clock's been there for a decade. So apparently I've lost the last 10 years of my life here. So good work, Mike. Like I'll give myself a pat on the back there. I'm pretty impressed with that one.
Yeah, get bone nerd.
So I guess we could just jump into the results. So I guess in the mixed pairs final, which was playing whilst we were doing our podcast last time, the winners were Alison Marion and Paul Foster. So they ended up winning the mixed pairs final. And then we had the women's singles final was won by friend of the show, Catherine Rednall. Mm-hmm. So that was a good, interesting game to watch. I think Daryl and me were watching that one together, and it was a pretty impressive performance by her. Honestly, she was just suffocating the jack, and we were both pretty impressed with Allison's drive, though. She was throwing some beautiful runners during that game and was smashing it pretty good, but then Catherine would draw the jack after it had been killed and respotted. So it actually was a fun match to watch. The both of us were watching that one together. And then I guess the men's singles was quite the interesting semifinals all the way through the finals. Like I watched pretty much every single match down the last 3-4 of them there. And though John commented in the chat there, Wayne Wilgris was quite a impressive person to watch this year. He didn't essentially come out of nowhere, but came on there and he made it all the way to the semifinals and essentially lost on the last bowl to Paul Foster. But the passion he showed for the game and how into it he was, and like he very much played to the crowd and had a great time. Like, you just see how much it meant to him, and it was great to see the passion from a player. So, what did you guys think of how he played?
I was impressed. I think he's going to be a great addition. It's always nice to. I mean, say new people, but I mean some of the guys just shift up and down. But Wayne will be a nice addition, like John said, to the top 16. He'll. It's fun to watch. I had a good time watching him.
I gotta excuse myself for a minute.
Yeah, no,
Here's some dogs. Yeah.
yeah, he had some dogs in the background there. But yeah, Wayne, I quite enjoyed seeing his game against Paul. Like, it was one of the best games I think I've seen. Like, me and you talked about, I think it was Catherine versus Mark Royal was a really good game at the beginning of the tournament.
Absolutely.
If you're wanting to go back and check out some really good matches, that's a great match early on. But then that semifinal between Paul Foster and Wayne Wilgris is an incredible match. Like, they go back and forth. They essentially keep making any of those like, anything you can do, I can do better type shots. They just kept doing it all game, and it was great. And it literally came down the last bowl, and Paul made the shot for the win. So great game to go back and watch. And I don't think he's going to be completely disappointed with a semifinal loss to Paul Foster, but it was still very impressive to watch him play.
Hey, maybe we'll get a Coach Daryl breakdown of that match there.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to wait for that.
It might be fun to actually go back and break down some of the games and see what happened, where things switched. Good idea. We'll take a look at that and see if we can put out some cool videos for those that may not quite understand what's going on. So maybe we can lend a helping hand and just say, hey, this is actually why shots were made and so forth. So yeah.
Yeah, so if I finish up my results, I guess. So that was the men's one of the men's semifinal. The final ended up being Paul Foster against Les Gillette, and that again was a great game. Came down to the last bowl again, was in a tiebreaker, and Les ended up winning, beating Paul Foster in the tiebreaker.
Yep.
So again, that was an entertaining match. I loved watching it because Les specifically was playing to the crowd very heavily. You could tell he sort of had the crowd behind him a little bit. And I guess that kind of links to one of the topics we were going to want to talk about here was sort of crowd etiquette. So I know it's kind of a controversial thing that's occurred since then. Paul had, I guess, less than favorable things to say during his interview after he'd lost. He had some things to say about the crowd and how the crowd wasn't really doing their part to be fair to him, I guess, and then sort of making noises type of thing when he's throwing or when his bowls are in motion. So what's your guys' thoughts on, I guess, the crowd, how they're acting there, and then when a crowd is sort of loud and vocal when you're playing? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I get it, why it would be frustrating, but at the same time, they're playing on a professional tour. It's no different than a game of golf. Obviously, you can't control everybody there, and you should be enough of a professional to kind of remove yourself from the situation and just roll a bowl. Like, I mean, it's no different than, like, for example, like my club here in Peterborough, there's always like police cars and ambulances and fire trucks with sirens going off. There's a park where they play baseball across the road. There's a skate park. It's in the middle of a community. Like, you hear noises. I think people make a bigger deal about it when it's on an event like this because of what it is, but it's really no different than me and you going out and playing a game of singles at a club. Like, there's noise.
Yeah, it's tough. I liken it, if we want to be that that sport that attracts people to come and watch, we have to take it that they pay for their ticket or they get their seat. You know, they can do and say what they want as long as they're not, like, you know, physically interfering with the game or throwing something on the rink or doing something completely out of line like that. But you know, getting heckled, having people cheer against your bulls, I mean, it's gonna happen. I'd expect it at any big sporting event. Like, I watch, you know, NFL, MLB, MLS. I mean, you go over to UK and look at their football with you know, hooligans and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it can get excessive. people are just ripping players left and right and telling them they suck and get off the field, and they're trying to play their best at a professional level. I think this is relatively minor. I mean, if people are cheering against your Bulls and you're in the final and you're professional, it just comes with having a live crowd, I think.
I think like if it's in like the middle of your like backswing, it's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you can't control people. Like, yeah, you could kick people out, but are we going to kick 5 of the 13 spectators we have out of the? Oh, sorry, they probably had more than that, but you know what I mean. Out of the venue, like I think it's just unfortunate, but I think it's just what it is. Like, obviously, people have their favorite player. And they're going to cheer for their favorite player. Do they need to be inconsiderate or ignorant or rude towards the other player? Probably not. But then again, people like to try and give their favorite person an edge, and I can sort of understand that.
Like, I don't know if it's just me, but you guys, like, when I've played before, I've played in places where I obviously wasn't the favorite, and there's kind of like the home club bias that you'll get even provincially, stuff like that. So for me, when I'm playing, I personally almost, it motivates me if I have a crowd against me. It's something I sort of take and I just kind of play with it, and it honestly motivates me to play better. So I don't really see it as like, wouldn't call myself a professional level bowler or anything, but I know that when I'm playing, it's something I expect when I'm traveling or playing other than my home club, maybe. And then it's something I kind of honestly use as motivation. So it does suck to sort of have people not necessarily being on your side, and you'd expect it to be a little more even keel, but I definitely would almost use it as a motivation type of thing. So we just kind of have to deal with it and learn to move forward and sort of just play your game and not be distracted by the crowd.
I mean, I guess like the part that like, I don't know if like frustrates me is like the wrong way to put it, but like it's like the people who are upset about it think that like Paul Foster or whoever is practicing in a soundproof booth, like where it's dead silent and he's just bowling. Like that's the part that like I'm struggling to like wonder why it's such a big deal.
I don't know. It's I think John made some good comments there. Like, there's been some great innovations to get the crowd into the game, but there is still some etiquette there. Like in golf, you're supposed to be quiet when the guy's getting approaching the tee and hitting his ball. That's general golf etiquette, even for the crowd. Quiet, please. Silence. I could see that for delivering a bowl as well, if you really wanted to go there. But in between, the bowl's released, everything's done.
Yeah,
the crowd just is gonna do what it wants to do, and it kind of sucks. The other comment was the England versus Scotland rivalry. I mean, that could probably get into it. Who knows what was in the history leading up to that? It's just unfortunate that it was live BBC broadcast. The interview is there. It's out there. It's out there forever. And if anybody has ever been on the internet, we know that there's like 99% trolls out there, and they're just going to take it and run with it, and it's never going to go away. So it's unfortunate that it's out there, but I mean, I think for us, it's a topic that we say, it's going to be a live crowd. You're going to have to deal with some of the idiots that are out there that want to cause trouble, right?
Pretty much.
So what I'm hearing from you, Daryl, is that you would fully support, just like in golf, every time you deliver a bowl, it's on the jack, or something like that from the crowd.
I would love it. It would be distracting if someone was yelling while I'm delivering, but I've learned to block out distractions, like Luke said. Like, there's a street, a heavy street with traffic behind us at my club.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please.
But I mean, I love it when the crowd's into it. So yeah, if I release my bowl and someone screams out, get on the jack, that's fine. I would be fine with that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be sick.
It probably wouldn't get on the jack, but I mean, have them scream it out.
Yeah, probably 6 feet light, but hey, it was on the jack out of my hand, so screw it.
So when the Canadian Bowler Open actually happens, we're gonna have to have directions when they come in and be like, you must be loud and vocal if you're in the crowd, type of thing.
If I'm playing against you in the final, Mike, and you for the golden jacket, I'm going down to the slums of wherever we are, and I'm gonna pay a homeless man to heckle you the whole time.
Perfect. Just like Happy Gilmore?
Yeah.
Great. That's perfect.
After you punch Bob Barker in the face in the celebrity match.
I'm down. You look like Shooter McGavin anyways, so it works for me.
Shooter.
So, yeah, we're not here to really discuss the Paul Foster specific. That wasn't the case. I mean, what happened there happened there. The situation around it, we don't really know. We can't hear everything that's going on in the video, but like John said, there's acoustics in that arena probably that the players can hear stuff that we can't. But in general, I mean, we want live crowds there. We're going to have to deal with some of this stuff. It's unfortunate that it's going to irk some players. I love it. I think you guys kind of love that atmosphere. And if people are going to heckle me, they're going to heckle me. And, you know, I'll just suck it up and move on. But yeah, bring on the live crowds. That's what I want to see. Let's get some interaction.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, I suppose we can move forward here.
Yeah. As you say, I have one last result I missed.
Oh, sorry, Mike.
And I feel like we need to say it so that I don't get yelled at, maybe. The U25 final was actually on as well.
Right.
And Daniel Poole ended up defeating Darren Weir of Scotland. They're both from Scotland. Actually, it was quite a good match between the two of them as well. So, good match there, too.
Just going to slightly backtrack. We did get a comment from Raymond24 in the chat. He said, isn't there music playing at the Ultimate Bowls? Yes, but I think, probably. I think music's different, though, because music is kind of like here. Like, the level of music is like here. It's not like someone yells and then it, like, I don't know. I think it's a little different, personally.
Yeah, I think like John made a comment too. BPL UBC is different in that way. The energy is really high. The crowd's into it. Music's playing. Everybody's expecting that. I think in something like the WBT or say a national championship where it's generally quiet and people are quiet, and then something happens, it can be super distracting. So I think there's that yin and yang kind of difference to it. But regardless. I think my stance is, you know, bring on the live crowd, let them do what they want, and players just have to deal with it.
Yep. Well, Bowls England. What happened with Bowls England, Daryl?
They announced their Commonwealth Games team. So we're gonna try to pump out every time we figure out that a country has announced their team. We're going to let you guys know about it. Fortunately for us, Bowls England put out this awesome video that goes through all the players. So we're just going to quickly play that now for you. And so take a look. And we'll talk about it when we get back. One sec. Not a bad little video to introduce their team.
No, not at all. You guys know the international squads a little bit better than me. Any shocks to you guys out there on that selection there?
Well, John stole one of mine. Robert Paxton missing. He's been he actually stole two of ours, I guess. So Robert Paxton's one. Mike, what's the other one?
For me, Ed Morris from England. He's I think 2 out of the last 3 years, he's a friend of mine. He played with me or against me, I guess, in Hong Kong when I went to Hong Kong a few years back. 2 out of the last 3 years, he's the English Bowler of the Year, and I think he's won like 5 national titles in the last like 3 years or something like that. So he's probably their most consistent outdoor bowler at this point, and where they're hosting the games is where he's won like all these national titles. So I'm quite shocked to see Ed was not on that team, because I don't know what else the man could have done over the last few years. So yeah, I feel bad for Ed on that one. And then definitely Catherine Rednall on the female side, I was pretty surprised to not see on there as well, because she's been quite successful over the last few years as well, and really has been one of their most consistent bowlers for the last however many years we want to count back.
We did get a quick comment there from Dom Pixley in the chat. He said Paxton actually decided to withdraw a few months ago, so I guess that explains that one.
That does.
The
Thanks,
Catherine
Tom.
one was kind of shocking to me, I will say, because obviously she performs well. I don't know if there was a similar circumstance to having a child or whatever in the mix there. It could be part of it, but I have no idea.
It's interesting because I know, like, say for me, if I was on a team, even with a bunch of stuff going on, if it was in Canada, I'd want to be there, right? And I think in our interview, we asked, and I think she was really pumped to try to make that team. Right?
I think so as well. I was thinking about that while I was saying that, but no, I'm not sure.
So anyway, I mean, we don't know the circumstances behind them, so the ins and the outs and the selection, it can be really confusing. I can honestly say the selection process is not fun for either side. You know, players make it, players don't. Selectors select people and then have to tell people they didn't make it. It's an awful process, I think, from start to finish for both sides. But it has to be done. Teams have to be made, and I mean, all we can say right now is good luck to Bulls England. They've got some great para bowlers in there as well, so it's really good to see. And good luck in Birmingham.
Just after watching that video, I'm just really curious, Daryl. When is Bulls Canada gonna release their video?
I want to see their hype video.
I don't know, Luke.
What's that?
We're still working through the selection process. We're trying to get a camp going so that people can actually come and play, even like international. Obviously, the Omicron has thrown a wrench into the mix again. So who knows if people are going to be able to come in or out of Australia. Canadian athletes, it might be a little easier to get people together, but we're trying our best to make it as even as possible. But every week, there's another contingency plan put in place to say, well, if this country can't go, or these players can't go, or what happens if there's another outbreak or whatever. It's a nightmare, actually.
Fair enough. That's all I'm going to say.
All I know is I hope that you guys make just as hype of a video as they had there. That's the main prerequisite for Bulls Canada right there.
I'll put it forward to them. I'll say, like, hey, you know, Bulls England put together an awesome video. Why don't we put together a little teaser video like that too?
Well, I mean, since we know that Bulls Canada just has disposable income, they should probably do like a pretty high level video to hype up the team there. That would be pretty amazing, I think, if we had, like, you know, some big boom cameras come in at the camp and get some sick footage of our team there. You should probably figure that out, Daryl.
Yeah. One thing from John Siteman there.
It's a joke.
Seeing Nick Brett finally make his thing. I mean, he's the internet sensation, but he's been playing amazing on the WBT for quite a long time now, and it's nice to see him get his shot. I think in the press release that I saw for him or for the team, he wasn't sure that he'd ever get a shot to go there. So it's really nice that he did, and hopefully he does really well. Hopefully he enjoys it. So that's cool to see too.
Yeah, it's always kind of interesting when you see the teams that get released and the people that you would shockingly see that haven't gone before or haven't played for their country at the Commonwealth Games before. So someone him, I 100% would have thought Nick would have went at least one other time in his Bulls career, because he's had pretty established career at this point. And so for him to get that, especially in his home country, he's probably going to just revel in that moment to actually play in his home country for the Commonwealth Games. I'm sure that's pretty special.
Pretty cool. Totally.
So I did have other results that I guess I never really told you guys about them, but I figured we should cover them. Do you guys mind if I share some other results?
No, absolutely.
Sure.
So right now, United States, they've got some lawn bowling going on. It's a tournament that I've gone to myself a few years in the past, and it's probably one of their better kind of week of bowls if you ever have a chance to get to it. So the Thompson Civic pairs, Salisbury singles, and then I don't recall what they call the fours. It's a mixed fours event. So they essentially have it all within a week. So it's a good week of bowls, usually this time in January each year. So those events have just wrapped up over the last couple of days here. So I'll start with the Thompson Civic pairs was won by Tony Bear and Beef. So lives in America, but Marie used to be on the Canadian team, originally from, I believe, BC in Canada. So congrats to her and Tony. Second place was Jackie Tucker, John Duvall. Third place was Steve Bizanson and Mike Wagner. And fourth place was Gord Fall and Jim Filipiuk. Sorry if I butchered that. For going to the fours that happened. So the mixed fours was won by Ron Rolick, SpongeBob Perry, Betsy Larson, and Sharon Perry.
SpongeBob?
Yes, if you've never played down there, there's a guy called SpongeBob because he literally wears a sponge on his hand when he plays. It's part of his gripping, and they call him SpongeBob, and he will reply to you as SpongeBob. So every time I see that name,
I thought you were gonna tell me that his name was actually SpongeBob for a second, and I was like, really?
No, it's his nickname is SpongeBob, but it's a terrific name because like he literally plays with a sponge like strapped to his left hand to give himself grip every bowl.
Okay.
So it's beautiful. He's a great bowler though. He's absolutely a terrific front end, like terrific draw bowler. I've played him 2 or 3 times and I think I've only beat him once. So he's a very good bowler. Second place was Keith Roney, Gene Roney, Mike Wagner, and Donna Law. And third place was Tony Bear, Henry Beef, Bob Birkinshaw, and Alice Birkinshaw. So congrats to all of them. And then the last event is Salisbury Singles. The winner of that was SpongeBob. So SpongeBob won the singles, and Aaron Zangel got second, and Mike Wagner got third. So congrats to everybody there. It was looks like it was a fun event. Looks like they're nice to get back to bowls in Arizona, which I wish I was able to say I was able to bowl this week in 20-something degree heat, but not the case.
Absolutely.
Quick comment from the chat here again. Dom again. He was just curious why Ryan Bester still plays for Canada while living in Australia. Don't bowlers normally represent the country they bowl in? Does he even go back to Canada? I think I can start this answer. I think a lot of it has to do with, I can speak for Ryan because I've had this conversation with him myself, is that he loves Canada as a country. He never, in my knowledge, he's never wanted to play for Australia. And I think it's a little bit different for a Canadian athlete playing the sport of bowls as opposed to Australian, New Zealand, South African, these more mild temperature countries, or even countries such as like Scotland or Hong Kong or wherever that have all these indoor facilities. You can't even bowl here in the wintertime. So I don't think it's that strange for an Australian-based Canadian player, just because if you really want to be the best, that's pretty well the only way you're going to do it living in Canada or being from Canada.
Yeah, we've got a few players. I can say from the national team side, we've got a few players that are down in New Zealand and Australia. So Kelly McCarrahan, Leanne Chinnery, Emma Boyd's down there right now. Eric Gallipo went down for like 6 months. That was kind of in the mix of COVID, so that was a little weird. You got Ryan down there, who's been down there forever. People go down there and they love it. They want to bowl all the time. So Australia is the way to do it. But a lot of them love Canada. Their families in Canada. They want to represent the country that they come from. They grew up here. They want to strap that maple leaf on the back. So it's more kind of a national pride thing. They love the people, their friends. Their friends are on the team. They may know people in bowls that they don't get to see all that much. So it's I think it's a national pride thing. They love their country. They want to represent and be part of that aspect for their families and friends as well. So I haven't
And I
seen
think-
many that have said like, hey, I wish I could bowl for Australia or New Zealand, but maybe.
Yeah.
I think like the one thing that's kind of complicated with that too is to play in the Commonwealth Games, you have to be a citizen of the country. Am I correct?
Yes.
So if you're wanting to play Commonwealth Games or represent whatever country you've moved to, a lot of people don't have necessarily citizenship in that country that
Right.
they're living in. So they might move there and they might be a resident and they're able to stay there and live their bowl, do whatever they want to do. But they might not be a citizen of that country and be eligible to necessarily even play for them if they wanted to. So I think that's another complicating factor of it.
That's true.
The only person I can think of that's kind of done the full switch was like Jeremy Henry, maybe, like because he was Irish and he ended up being he's still in Australia and he's been there for probably a good 20 years now. And I think he's either represented Australia or he's won events to get his way to playing in like champion of champion type of stuff. But
I know he plays the English singles all the time, but yeah, I
World
don't know
Cup.
if he qualifies for that or if he's selected.
World Cup, he plays under Australia, so yeah.
So again, it's a complicated answer really, because I think that citizenship part of it is a main
That's true.
probably thing that sways some people, because I don't know what the citizenship rules are in Australia per se, or even in New Zealand, but I know it's probably pretty similar to Canada, where it's not exactly something you can just overnight get citizenship and then get your way into it. You probably have to work at that for a few years. You have to be working for a few years, all that type of thing. So
I was gonna say, I mean, he's picked up the accent quite well. I mean, when I used to know him back here before he moved, and when I went down there the first time and heard him, it was like, holy smokes! Like, Ryan, you've got the accent going on. You got the lingo, the everything. So he's definitely he's loving it down there. I know that for sure.
I'll say the last time I saw Kelly, it was the same thing for me too, where I knew Kelly pretty well back when we used to play against each other, play with each other, I guess in Canada here. And when I saw her in Australia a couple of years back there, I was like, yeah, you're starting to talk like an Aussie. So I'd definitely probably pick it up over time if that's kind of the normal for you.
Yeah. And John, our resident fact checker, said yes. Jeremy Henry represented Northern Ireland and then moved to Australia. He's won multiple Australian indoor titles to represent them internationally at the World Cup. So there you go. Thanks, John, as always.
Say I had my one snafu where I didn't know that the shot clock had been there for a decade, but John was able to confirm that I at least knew what I was talking about with Jeremy Henry. So I'm glad I'm not completely slipping, guys.
It's nice having John back in the chat. We have missed him over the last while. He hasn't really been here as much. It's a little disappointing, but I think I'll be okay.
So I guess was there much else we had planned to talk about, Daryl?
I wanted to ask you guys. We last year we set a goal for ourselves. We've been slowly growing. I mean, we've been growing faster recently, obviously. What kind of goals, now that we're coming to this is the last show of January and we're going to start heading into 2022, what kind of goals for this channel do you guys want to see happen for this year?
Well, I know you must not have been listening at the start of the show, but I said 1 billion.
That's true.
Billion
I did hear 1 billion.
subscribers.
I started to sweat, so I maybe lost consciousness there when you said 1 billion, but yeah.
I don't know if we're being realistic. If we're being realistic with goals here, I think something like a 2,500 end of the year would be pretty potentially achievable. I think that's maybe a tough ask for us, but I think it's something we could really push towards. We have lots of stuff planned that we want to do once the greens open up again, and I think they're going to be really positive videos that a lot of people will actually enjoy. So hopefully that'll kind of help us. But what do you guys think?
John Seitman says Canadian bowler subscribers to the moon. We just got to make a cryptocurrency and then we'll be good to go. I think I understand what you're saying, Mike, when you say it might sound a little far-fetched, but at the same time, when we set 1,000 last year and we hit 1,500, it was a little easier, I suppose, or not easier, but it was a little different than we expected it. Obviously, we have some pretty dedicated fans, clearly, who are sharing around and helping us out, and we keep pumping out the videos. So, I mean, again, I want to thank everyone for subscribing to this point. So, don't be afraid to tell your friends to hit that little button down there. It's a pretty nice button.
Yeah, I think subscriber counts of 2,500 to 3,000 by the end of the year would be really nice. We have a bunch of videos we want to make, and we've been storing them away in our kind of little file folder, just ready to pull them out and do them. But it's been so hard with the pandemic and lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully this year we can do that. I might have some travel to the Com Games, do some content there. Make sure you're following our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything, because you never know when that comes around and I start pumping out videos and pictures and all that kind of stuff. You definitely want to tune into there to get all that content. That'll be neat.
I
am curious. I know it's past the time, so we're gonna have to wait a while. But when do we get to announce to the world that we have a recording artist on the cast now?
Yeah, we're that's gonna stay in the vault, Luke. We're gonna hide that one off unless we get a really generous donation from someone where they want to hear the terrific Christmas compilation album that me and you put together.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that one will stay in the vault until we get the right ransom for it. So
Nice.
it exists. It's been made. We have copies of it. It's just not terrific music. So I don't want to hurt the world's ears. I guess like the one thing I was going to say there is we do plan to reunite us three at some point during the summer. So hopefully that can be facilitated and the world doesn't continue to be locked down forever so that we can easily create videos and content together, which has been a plan for a year and a half now that we can't really have done. So I'm hopeful that's going to be doable because us three together will be a pretty quick process for us to be able to put some good stuff out there for you guys.
Mike, we did get a comment. It says, "I want to hear your bad song with a tongue out face." I think if we can get 250 likes on this podcast, then we'll release Mike's Christmas song. So make sure you tell all your friends to like the video. If we get 250, I will personally release the video on the YouTube channel without Mike's consent.
I'll send a shout out to my friend Jesse. That's my friend Jesse there. Sure, if he wants to hear that terrible song, he just needs to get the 250 likes on the podcast here today, and we'll release the most terrific, horrible Christmas song you've ever heard.
For us going forward, I think it's wide open for what we can do and what we can make. I think we're in a really good spot. It's been, be honest with our audience and with everything, it's been really tough doing this over the last 2 years, just because we're in our offices and our houses. We don't really go anywhere. We're doing little bits here and there. Trying to make videos when we can. I mean, those delivery videos, I had to run out to the greens when they were empty and when it was good weather, and pump those out and try to get them done. So hopefully we can do more of that, because it was really fun, but it was really hard to just keep doing that when things are getting locked down and weird stuff is going on. But the sky's the limit. I'm hoping that 2022 we see a little more normalcy coming back, and we can actually do some quote unquote normal stuff here and actually do some live stuff, which would be cool.
Yeah. I don't know what else I got for this episode, boys. It sounds pretty good to me.
Cool. No, that was great.
All right. I guess I'll shut her down. A little bit of a shorter one today, but makes up for the last one that was 8 hours long. All right, guys. Don't forget, we were just talking about it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. There's a little notification bell beside it, and if you click that, it'll notify you every time we go live or post a video on the YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're available on all those platforms. And if you missed the start of the podcast today, we're also available on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. I don't even know what else I usually say, but thanks, Mike. Thanks, Daryl. Thanks, chat today. Let's hit that 250 mark so we can embarrass the bearded bowler on Instagram. And until next time, guys, I hope all your shots are touchers.